Welcome to this episode of Ask John. I'm John Reicher, and I will be interviewing, I will have important people interview John and ask him important questions, and sometimes not so important questions. And today we have with us Ed Kressy. And I don't know how to introduce Ed. And we talked about it. He didn't like my idea. So I'm going to let Ed introduce himself.
Thanks, John. I liked your idea. The only thing, I would hesitate to call myself an important person.
Okay.
I thought
there was something else you didn't like about what I called you.
No, I love everything you do, John. I'm very impressed by the work you're doing, and I'm honored that you would have me on your show today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
As far as how to introduce myself, John, I'm a person. I've fought a lot of battles, a lot.
A lot of battles.
A lot of battles. Some have gone my way, many have not. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But if there's one thing I've learned, and there's one thing your viewers can maybe take away, it's that we got to have perseverance. You know, we have got to have perseverance. We've got to find whatever that faith is, whatever that source of faith is, whatever it is that gets us to persevere through the failures, through the mistakes. Those things, they're going to happen. But
Okay.
it's what we do about them.
This is what's going to happen. I will let you decide how Ed ought to be introduced, and we'll wait at the end. Okay. Maybe I'll ask you to send your notes and comments in. Call me, text me, whatever. Ed, I am a financial advisor, and I talk to a lot of people, and we talk about some of the things you just mentioned, the perseverance. Yeah. I spend a lot of time helping people out, figuring out all things financial. I do a lot of charts and graphs, and I enjoy it, but I mainly enjoy the close personal contact I have with my clients, and they turn out to be my really good friends. Nice. And I get to know what trials and tribulations they're going through. And the interesting thing is they get to know quite a lot about me. Mm-hmm. And there's a facet of my work that's always troubled me. And it's this idea that it's all about the money. And it's not all about the money. I think it's about relationships. And the work I do doesn't help that directly. But I like to think that in some way I impact that for my clients and for the community in one way or another. Which brings me to some issues that kind of get to where you have been. I belong to a couple of different organizations. The Presbyterian Church of Novato. I also belong to the Rotary Club of Novato Sunrise. And being involved with them, I get to know about things and participate in things. And one of the things that has been going on recently is something, what is it called? Mobile care, the downtown streets team. In San Rafael, I'm not sure quite how long ago, maybe a year or two, they decided to take people who are on the street, and rather than just have them be on the street, they put them to work cleaning the streets. And they brought that program to Novato. And I'm not sure there's much controversy about that. I think it's a great thing. I've always thought someone that's on the street, maybe they should do something. Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Yeah, and as an offshoot of that, we're going to have mobile showers for street people. And the question is, how much good is that going to do? I'm hearing people talk about that. How much good will that do, really? It's going to be just early in the morning, and these people are not going to come early in the morning. Oh, are we going to attract a lot of people to town that we wouldn't otherwise attract to town? Are they the people we want to attract to town? So you hear this kind of stuff, and yet the people who are doing this work are doing it out of love. They want to care for the community. Beautiful. And it's hard. We put together this what I call a care package to give out to street people. And we did this at the Presbyterian Church. And I've gotten reports back from people who have actually handed these to people on the street corner. This has toothpaste in it, there's a water bottle, there's some socks, warm socks, there's a pen, chapstick, fruit bar, all this stuff. And some of the
Great
reports I got back, it's a great thing.
Yeah.
And then, but some people are discouraged about it because we roll out a window and hand this to someone, and they go, "That's not what I want. I don't need that stuff here. I get everything but what I need." And we've had a couple of experiences like that where there's this total rejection. And Ed, I'm gonna count on you to assuage my confusion and my hurt feelings about this. I know you're going to help us out. We've had some good experiences also. I don't want to,
Of course.
paint this.
Yeah.
And let's see, we have the other thing called this rotating emergency service team, where we actually feed the homeless. And I think we've had some really good results from that.
It's beautiful.
The Rotary Club, actually my Rotary Club, the Novato Sunrise Rotary Club, alternate with the Novato Club, the larger club in town. And we go once a month, or every other month. And then the Presbyterian Church that I belong to actually goes once a month, and to the Quest Church, and they feed the homeless, which I think is a wonderful, wonderful thing to do.
It is a wonderful thing, and these are reasonable questions people are asking about the showers. How much good is it really going to do, and what are the downsides? These are good questions to ask.
And I had this experience a couple of years ago. I was in Starbucks, and I think I mentioned, in fact, I know I mentioned this on the last episode. So for anyone who might have happened to see that, I'll try to make it a little more brief. But this is my personal experience, and walking away from this situation thinking, what did I do? Did it help anybody? I was sitting in Starbucks, and this young man came in, looked like a street person to me.
How do you define a street person?
Well, you know, he was kind of shabby, old clothes, but I don't know that's the definition. I'm just saying, I think he was a street person. Don't know.
Perceptions
but he had a backpack and a jacket, and he was on the phone. He was saying, I just need $50, just $50. Just well, you've given it. You did it before. You just can't you? And then the line goes dead, and he puts the phone down. He throws his backpack down on the chair and his jacket on top of it. Then he scoops both of them down and he sits down. And I'm just thinking, you know, I'd like to help this guy out, but I'm not sure that I would do him any good. You know, does he really need $50? Or does he need drugs? I don't know.
Yeah.
And
how could you know?
so I just sat there for a while, and he got up and walked out. But I knew he was coming back because he left his backpack and jacket on the chair right next to me. And I just happened to have a $100 bill. Now, you know, how often I don't carry a $100 bill normally. Usually we carry 20s around, right? Because we get them from the ATM. So I had this $100 bill, and I pulled my wallet out, and I started to pull this $100 bill out, and I asked myself, well, how would it feel to put this $100 bill on his jacket? And it just didn't feel good. It just didn't feel right. So I put the $100 bill back in my wallet, and I said, how does it feel to put this back? And I said to myself, I feel like I'm missing a huge opportunity. So I put the $100 bill on his jacket, and I got up and walked out. Never saw the guy again.
You never saw the guy again?
Never saw the guy. I have no idea what happened.
Well, first of all, congratulations, because I can see, I'm sitting right here next to you, and I believe your viewers can tell even the vibe you're sending forth through the television camera where your heart was. And your heart was in a wonderful place where you were doing something. You're not sure of the outcome to this day, but your intentions, from what I see, were very certain. You were doing something out of love and out of kindness. Kindness is never wasted. It's never wasted.
Well, thank you.
And that's where you were at.
Thank you,
That's
Ed.
where you were at.
Well, good. Well, I really don't know. I mean, you know, in my heart, I don't know what happened. Well, tell me about you, Ed. Has anyone helped you out in that kind of a way? Have you been in that situation?
I've been in similar situations, Sean, and let me can I paint a little picture for you?
Yeah, please do.
Imagine a guy, let's give him a name. Let's call him Reggie. Okay, maybe Reggie, he resembles the person you met at Starbucks. But Reggie is out there in a state of what appears to be deep psychosis. Okay, Reggie, he's having screaming matches with people who ain't even there. You know, this is Reggie. He's out on the streets. His clothes are torn. He's wearing a jacket with the sleeves ripped off. He's on drugs. At least from what you can tell, he's on drugs. He's high. He's been high for days. Reggie is stealing from welfare. He's stealing from unemployment insurance. He's going into supermarkets to shoplift food, to eat. Reggie truly believes that vast conspiracies involving his friends, his former friends, because nobody talks to him anymore. Reggie believes that his former friends, his family, the government, alien beings from other planets, Reggie believes that anything and anyone you can imagine is out to get him. And he's out there screaming it to anyone in the vicinity who might be they might be the disembodied voices he hears. This is Reggie, and this is Reggie's life, and it's been that way for years. Can you imagine all that? Can you imagine that guy, Reggie?
Well, I think I've seen that guy, Reggie, but it's really hard to put myself in his place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard, but Reggie was me. That was me. That was the life I led for years as a methamphetamine addict, as a street person, and I feel the term you use is very appropriate. It's okay. I was only truly homeless for a very brief time, one of the worst times of my life. But I was a street person like that guy Reggie.
How did you get there?
You
had a very successful career.
I did, yeah. I was.
You're making good money. You're working for a big company, and I mean, I don't know if we can mention the company you're working for.
Is it okay to mention?
I think it is.
Yeah, Genentech.
Yeah.
They treated me very well. I was 5 years career. They were going to make me a manager. They treated me very, very well.
And you had the house and the car, and
I owned a home in San Francisco. I owned a home.
Yeah.
College degree.
So what happened?
Drug addiction for me. I was a drug addict for 20 years. Methamphetamine for 11. To me, addiction is a condition of self-hatred. I hated myself. I hated who I was. I was always, part of me was always this little kid who never stood up for himself against the schoolyard bullies. I knew the real me. I knew the selfishness. I knew the fear, the cowardice that was me. I knew all that about myself. So if you liked me, John, and we didn't know each other back then, but if you had treated me well, I would have thought that either you were out to get me or that you were stupid. Because how can you like me? I knew the real me, so I would have thought that you were either so deluded by something or that you were out to get me. Because I knew me, and that's what I dealt with, and I tried to destroy myself through drug use, and I almost got there. Came very close. Nights in homeless shelters, 2.5 months in jail, years of being like that hypothetical Reggie we just described. I was that street person in methamphetamine psychosis, wandering the streets, disembodied voices, conspiracy theories, and that's only the part I'm comfortable admitting. I mean, if I told you some of the bad stuff, it got very, very bad.
So, what turned you around?
To be 100% honest, John, people like yourself. People like yourself and the good work you're doing. Dozens, hundreds, thousands by proxy of people who I will never see again, who I will never have the opportunity to thank, who touched my life, who gave to me in ways that at the time where I was at, it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense somebody would be trying to help me, and we can get into that later if it's going to help your audience. But many people piled many small acts of kindness upon me time after time, and eventually I was able to put away that methamphetamine pipe. Eventually I was able to find a spiritual connection. I was able to work with, which is what I do now. I work with incarcerated men and women.
How did you feed your addiction? You have to make some money. You have to get money to pay for the drugs. So you lost your home and your car, and so that was a source of money for drugs, I assume. And and then what?
Yeah, you take a house and a car and a BMW motorcycle, and you can take relationships, and you can take people's trust, and you can take love. You can put it all in a methamphetamine pipe and hold a blue torch to it and smoke it up. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the material stuff, the money, that's
Doesn't
the
matter.
minor. That's the
Doesn't
minor
matter.
stuff. It's
Yeah.
it's the love that I betrayed,
Yeah.
and the people who I hurt. That is what really that's what bit the most.
Yeah.
That's what had the most teeth.
And you're telling me earlier about these delusions that are so real,
Yeah.
and how they don't really go away. What does that mean?
Yeah, so I had drug-induced psychosis. The way I understand, I had schizophrenia, but it was a drug-induced form of schizophrenia, and I would hallucinate and hear voices. You don't put down the methamphetamine one day and the voices go away the next. You know, it was a long process of coping with the aftermath. And the way I think about it is, if you look at a light bulb, like we have light bulbs above us in the ceiling, you look at a light bulb, you look away quickly, you're going to see that image of a light.
Right.
And you will see it there, but you never think it's real. You never think that image when you look away real quick. You know that even though you see it, that it isn't a real light. You know the light bulb is still over there, and it's just the image.
Yeah.
When I was in my psychosis, there was no way to tell between the bulb and the image.
Oh my.
And the symptoms, the symptoms that lingered and went on and on and on, the hallucinations and the conspiracy theories and the delusions, what happened was that became a manageable image. I could hallucinate, hear those, imagine I was hearing those things, but it got to the point where I knew they weren't real, and that was a way I was able to cope with a quote-unquote normal life, which meant no more drugs, no more criminal activity, volunteering, paying taxes.
Do you think you're leading a normal life now?
I have discovered, through the help of many, many individuals, yourself being one of them, and many others, that a life of giving, we get what we give. We gotta give, and if we can improve people's lives, then we can be successful. You know, if we can improve the lives of others, we will be a success. That's what I've learned. And yes, so I work for a wonderful nonprofit. Can I say their name?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, thank you. They're called Defy Ventures, like defy the odds. We work with currently and formerly incarcerated men and women. We teach them entrepreneurism and employment skills. We've got some wonderful statistics, less than 5% recidivism rate. And a very special thing we do is we take business leaders, entrepreneurs, men and women who've really succeeded in business, and we partner them with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men and women. So the two really learn from one another. It's a wonderful program, and I encourage your viewers to find out more about it and get involved if that suits their interests.
Defy Ventures.
Yes, like defy the odds.
Defy the
ventures.
odds, defy
Exactly.
ventures.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. Yeah. And you're the recipient. Well, I'm going to ask you about that in a minute. But
yeah.
you're a recipient of some entrepreneurial help, I think.
Yes.
But I'm going to ask you about it in a minute. I'm looking at these pictures here.
Yeah.
Let me get this out of the way.
Oh, sure.
So looking at these pictures, and so what are we looking at here?
Oh yeah, college freshman year. The small town kid, very small town in Ashburnham. Excuse me, in Massachusetts. It was called Ashburnham. This very little town. I escaped from, thinking that, you know, the big city, this is where it's at. But I was trying to escape myself. I was really trying to escape the schoolyard bullies and the girls in school who I wanted to become friends with, but couldn't have the courage to talk to. I was trying to escape myself, that I wouldn't stand up for myself. I had a wonderful home life. My parents did very well for me, but when I was in college, it was just about drinking. It was just, how can I drink? How can I escape?
So you're not the product of abuse. You didn't have a dysfunctional family. It sounds like you were a pretty regular guy actually, you told me a little bit about your family history. There's some achievers, creative people, achiever type people, and
yeah. My grandfather, my dad's father, was an artist, and he drew cartoons. He drew Batman, Some of
Oh,
the
no
first
kidding.
comic
No
books,
kidding.
yeah, some of the first Batman comic
When
books.
would that have been? That would have been quite.
Oh,
quite
that's a
long.
good question. 30s. I
In the
want to say the
30s, yeah.
1930s. Don't quote
Yeah,
me, but I
yeah.
want to say the 1930s.
And you grew up knowing that your grandfather had that history, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
very
but I
cool.
never capitalized on it. You know.
You're not an artist yourself, and your parents were teachers, I think.
Yeah, good. A good memory.
yeah.
My they're retired now or semi-retired. But my dad taught before he retired. He taught creative writing and philosophy. Today he teaches Tai Chi, and my mom teaches nursing. She's
No kidding.
been a teacher
Yeah.
for a long
Oh,
time,
very
and
nice.
she teaches to this day.
Your dark days, I mentioned, I don't know what to call them, but you
They
gave me
were
permission
dark,
to call
man.
them your dark
oh, yeah,
days.
Yeah, they were dark.
They must have been really hard on your parents.
What we as addicts have to grapple with and what we have to cope with is the hurt, the harm we've done to others. And we make mistakes, we hurt people, and then we try to bury those mistakes under more drug use, under more drinking, under more criminal activity. And of course, it just ends up compounding the mistakes. It's like in your field, you have compounding interest, right? If I understand correctly, things go along, then your interest compounds, your investment, and then it goes up. With
There you
drugs,
go.
it's like the same thing, except down. You know, we go along drugs, and mistake, betrayal. We betray others. We betray, we lie, we steal, and then all of a sudden, when it starts to fall off that cliff, it really falls off that cliff, and it's a terrible thing to deal with in one's own mind, to live with that, but much worse on the ones that. I shouldn't say much worse, but as
But
bad
it's
often.
hard on the people that love you.
Yeah, my family, my friends. I really let people down. I really let a lot of people down, and
So this is a picture of you in high school, college, huh?
Yeah, I left high school.
Is this a dorm room here that you're sitting in?
Freshman dorm room,
Freshman
trying to
dorm
bring
room.
the East Coast a little bit to the West.
We're-
I'm sorry, I'm pointing, but your viewers can't see me point.
Yeah, they'll see it on the screen. So,
I left high school 1 year early. I did well on the standardized tests.
no kidding.
Yeah, I skipped
You were
my
a smart kid.
I did okay.
You are a
know.
smart kid.
I could do
You're
okay.
a smart
yeah.
man now.
a lot of us addicts are. We have potential. We have
Yeah.
potential. Me not more so than many others, but I did well on the standardized test. Left high school a year early, so here I should have.
You look pretty good in that picture.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, and you look pretty good in this picture. So what are we looking at here?
Looks can deceive, my friend. Looks can deceive. This was.
I wouldn't be off put by encountering this street person.
One thing, John. A couple things. One thing that really stands out is what you and I are looking at right here is the color of my skin. I mean, let's face it. We're looking at a person who's a Caucasian male. And I think about this every day. This is what the 5 Ventures and my colleagues who are formerly incarcerated have taught me, is that the mistakes I am making in this picture, which means I'm a daily methamphetamine smoker and a criminal in the picture we just looked at. I'm a pretty low level, but I'm still a criminal. But because of the color of my skin and because of my socioeconomic background, I stay out of jail until I'm, 34 years old. Now, even though I started making my mistakes when I was 16, my mistakes were letting myself become an addict and engaging.
You sort of got a pass, didn't you?
I got a pass, but because of my socioeconomic background, because of my skin color, society gives me unfair advantages.
Right.
And when we look at that, yeah, sure, this guy in the picture looks all right, but let's face it, the problem in our society, and these things sound obvious to say, but it's different to live it, is that the prejudice worked in my favor in many ways.
And kind of against you because you didn't get the help that you might have gotten.
I might have got the
Maybe,
help, but
yeah.
when I was dealing drugs in my college, I was dealing drugs out of an apartment that my parents paid for. If my parents hadn't paid for an apartment, I would have been dealing drugs on the street.
Right.
Probably would have got arrested if my skin color hadn't been the color that it is,
Yeah.
the prejudice.
Yeah.
And these things, what's the wonderful thing about the 5 Ventures and about the work that you're doing and that I'm doing is that we're looking at solutions. So we can go on, and the things about society, they're true, but we're looking at solutions, and that's why the work you're doing is so wonderful, because you're out there contributing the solution. You have doubts that you expressed in the beginning of your show.
Yeah.
They're reasonable doubts. They're great questions to ask. we're focused on the solution. That's what Defy Ventures is doing. That's what you're doing, and I'm just following in the footsteps of you and Defy Ventures and many, many inspiring people who are out there looking for solutions.
I'm just a small wheel and a small cog in the big wheel. There are so many people in this community that are doing so much.
Yeah,
and,
well, you're one of them.
I get to witness it.
Yeah,
and I do participate in some level.
You do, yeah.
Now and then.
You touch people.
And I hope there's some good that comes out of this conversation that we're having. I just love this picture. Actually, the picture that we're not showing that I really love is you sitting on bleachers with all these kids and everybody's. Tell me what was that all about?
Oh, I became a self-defense instructor after I quit. Several years after I quit drugs, I became a self-defense instructor and had a wonderful opportunity through the Boys and Girls Clubs of America to go in and teach kids practical self-defense skills, but hopefully on top of that, how to stay off of pathways that might lead to incarceration. You know, incarceration is more of a pathway than it is an event. Incarceration is something that I believe often starts at a very young age and is a series of things that eventually end up in incarceration. It's things that have to do with society, it's things that have to do with a lot of different circumstances. I don't want to assume too much about any one individual. What I do know is that we can interrupt that pathway of incarceration if we start with youth at a young age. Many parents are doing that. Many older brothers, sisters are doing that. Many role models are doing that. You're doing that. I'm trying to contribute. It's something we can do. We can get to these kids at an early age, and we can do a lot. We can do a lot.
You're doing good work.
Yeah.
It's really important, really important. And what are we looking at here?
Defy Ventures.
You don't look anything like this other guy. I can tell you that.
I came
nothing like that other guy.
Got a lot of help. A lot of help along the way. I'm here. I'm off of meth. Several, 8, 9 years. I'm off of meth. Google. Incredible people at Google. Google sends busloads of people into prison to work with Defy Ventures and to work with incarcerated men and women. Google is in the picture we just looked at. They invited Defy Ventures and me to do a presentation. These are just people with hearts, with souls. They gave Defy Ventures a grant, I think $500,000 to expand from New York out to San Francisco. And Google is just, they hired my services to teach self-defense on several occasions, and just a incredible community of men and women who are really dedicated to social responsibility and making society a fair place and a beautiful place for all of us as much as we can get it there. And we can get it there a long way.
You were telling me about, I forget, I think Google was involved in it, and there's other big tech corporations that you're going on a tour
next week. Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah, Facebook.
Facebook, okay.
Sheryl Sandberg of Facebook. Jeffrey Weiner of LinkedIn.
You're excited about it.
Oh, it's incredible.
You just lit up.
Yeah, these are amazing individuals. These are leaders, and the people they lead who are deeply committed to driving forward social change, to solving the problem of mass incarceration that we face here in America. Over 2 million men and women, I think 2.3, I hear different numbers, but I think 2.3 million men and women are behind bars. 10,000 released every week. In this country, 10,000 men and women are released from incarceration every week, and we are here to help you. We are here getting released from incarceration.
When you say we're here to help you, who is the you?
Your viewers,
okay,
men and women.
Yeah, well, you're helping. I mean, that's the greater point. Is you're helping those people that are at risk or actually, in prison or in trouble. But
yes.
As you do that, you're helping the community. It's a huge win-win.
It's incredible to see these busloads of Google employees to show up at prison. Whether you're a coach, whether you're a mentor, whether you're an entrepreneur, a would-be entrepreneur.
So you're talking about busloads of Google employees, but you're going on a tour. I didn't quite get what is your involvement?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I jumped back and forth.
You did that.
I did.
I kind of learned. We had a really enjoyable lunch today, and I kind of learned I learned that I need to keep you on No, no, you're doing great.
No,
You're doing
it's-
good. But
it's
yeah.
exciting,
So tell
yeah.
me about that tour. I mean, you just lit up one and then you forgot to talk about it. Come on.
So yes, we're going. Defy Ventures is several entrepreneurs in training. When one goes into the Defy Ventures program, one is called an entrepreneur in training. That's the program I went through. We call them EITs. For short, an EIT is a formerly incarcerated man or woman who is becoming either an entrepreneur or an employee. So 89% of people who get rearrested don't have jobs at the time they get rearrested.
So, Ed, what are you going to be doing?
Getting
Okay.
back. So the EITs, we're going on a tour. We're meeting with Sheryl Sandberg of Facebook, Jeffrey Weiner of LinkedIn, Aaron Levine, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, Aaron Levine of Box, Jacqueline Moore.
He'll
from
call me
Google.
and he'll call me and set me straight. Okay?
Okay,
I'm sure he
okay.
will. Yeah,
Great,
yeah.
Great. These are leaders. These are top people at the top, either directors or C-level officers
Okay.
at their various organizations who are dedicated to solving the problem of mass incarceration. It's a wonderful thing, and these are amazing individuals.
So you're traveling with them?
Yeah, we'll be traveling to their locations.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be traveling to LinkedIn, to Facebook. We'll be going to Box.
And you'll be presenting. What will you be doing?
I may.
Are you going to present or are you going to learn? You can do both, right?
I think both. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a two-way street. I think I personally may get a chance to present. Whether or not that happens, we'll be exposed to incredible individuals who inspire countless people in America and throughout the world.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It
I
is.
can see why you're excited about it. I'm excited about it. Hey, in your dark days,
Yeah. Yeah.
in your dark days, did anybody try to help you?
Yeah.
And did you accept their help? How did that turn out?
At times I would. One incident comes to mind where my aunt, my aunt, my close relative, bought me some food. I screamed at her. I cursed at her. I wanted the money for drugs. I didn't want the food. I wanted the money for drugs. This is a person who was and is like a mother to me. There's my mother, and then there's my aunt, who's like a second mother. I cursed and screamed at her for trying to help me. When you talk about
Kind of like these guys, rejecting our help. It's kind of depressing.
well, the one reason why
How should we feel about it?
One thing to keep in mind is when we're psychotic, I was a psychotic, we don't think we're hearing voices, we are hearing voices. We don't think that there's a conspiracy out there, we believe that there's a conspiracy. I'm not telling you funny stories about how I thought the government and my family and everybody was after me. Those are things I believed. As sure as I believe this table right in front of me is solid and real, I believe that these conspiracies and these voices were real. When you encounter these individuals who are suffering, who may be suffering from mental illness, to hand me, if you had gone back and you had tried to hand me a tube of toothpaste back when I was a street person, I might very well have thought that tube of toothpaste contained a microtransmitter that was going to bury itself somewhere in my neck so that the government could influence my thoughts. I believe these things. That's what you may be facing, you or anybody else who tries to help an individual suffering from mental illness who you may encounter out on the streets.
So I think you said that your aunt brought you some rice.
Yeah.
And did you take the rice, or did she walk off with it? How did you remember?
I probably took it.
It doesn't matter.
I probably
But
thought I
here-
could. Well, I probably thought I could sell it for methamphetamine, so I would have
sell it,
taken
yeah.
anything I thought that I could
Oh, Ed.
sell the trade for
Yeah.
drugs at the time. I
Yeah.
probably took.
Oh, my friend. But here's my question. Did the rice do any good, or did the offer of help do you some good?
Eventually, it did me a lot of good.
Yeah.
Yes. Eventually,
It's the offer, isn't it?
It's the
It's
offer.
the offer. It's the extension of love, of caring, of the connection.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kindness is never wasted.
yeah.
Kindness is never wasted, and the people the man or the woman who rejects your offer of your care pack may very well be the man or woman who a week or a month or a year from now thinks back to that kindness that you displayed and is doing 10 acts of kindness on your behalf.
Yeah.
You will never hear that from the man or woman who you helped. No one.
We'll never get that satisfaction, will we?
You won't. Some of the
We just have to understand it. We just have to know it. It's kind of like faith, isn't it? Faith?
Very much like.
Would you call it faith?
I would
Yeah, call it
absolutely.
faith.
I
Yeah.
would call it faith.
Yeah.
Law enforcement officers, some of the people who helped me the most. I will never. I don't know the law enforcement officers' names. I will never see them again. I will never get a chance to thank them, but they helped me. These individuals, such as yourselves, such as the law enforcement officers who helped me, you won't often get thanked, but the goodness and the kindness that you put out there, it's out there. And it does not stop at these four walls or at the street corner. It goes out and it goes out and it goes out. And this is what you're putting out there, and it comes back to you.
That's really good to hear. Anything else you want to mention?
If you really want to transform your life, if you're looking for inspiration, if you're looking for power to drive your actions, if you're looking for purpose to guide your decisions, if you're looking for a sense of perseverance to solve some of America's most troubling problems, look to Defy Ventures. Consider getting involved. We would love to have you on board.
And if I'm a parent
Yeah.
of someone in that situation, or an aunt, or a sibling,
Yeah.
a brother of someone that's in that situation, what advice would you give me for that?
Defy Ventures. We have there are many excellent programs out there. Defy Ventures just happens to be the one I know the best. Start with Defy. Contact our family program administrator. Do the research on who else is helping persons in your set of circumstances. 2.3 million men and women are incarcerated right now. Most of them have families. There are many others who are suffering with you. There are many others who are going through similar pain as what you're going through. Find them, communicate with them, bind with them, support one another. I am here to help you. Defy Ventures is here to help you. This great man right here is here to help you. The help is out there.
So, on this side of it, we have to sort of overlook the rejection, don't we?
You gotta.
Yeah. And it just occurred to me. I told you about this, this story about this kid in Starbucks.
Yeah.
And it just occurred to me that I didn't really know why I didn't want to face him. I didn't really know why I walked out before he came back. But it just occurred to me that I was a coward. I really didn't want to face the possibility of rejection. I didn't want to have the conversation where I wasn't going to be thanked for doing a good deed. I have a friend who says, "No good deed shall go unpunished." But I didn't think that one ought to be punished in any way at all, so I left.
Now, what do you think? What do you think happened?
Yeah. We were talking that I think you quoted Napoleon Hill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That if you can have any thought, if there's a multitude of thoughts you can have about any situation, pick the one that you wish was the truth.
Yeah.
So yeah, I believe. This is what I want to believe. I believe that it wasn't about the money. This kid was asking for $50, but it wasn't about the money. He was trying, and he didn't even know it. He wanted connection with someone. I'm going to assume that it was his mother. I don't know why I think it was his brother. I don't know, but he wanted connection with someone. And it wasn't about the money. And whoever it was has given him $50 so many times that he knows that's how he can get attention, that he can get connection to someone is by asking for the $50. And if it's denied, then he can keep going back and asking for it.
Yep.
I gave him $100, and it disrupted all of that. It disrupted for him, and it disrupted it for his brother. And so I think there's some thought process that happened. Who knows what happened? This is what I want to believe. I want to believe that he somehow figured out that it wasn't about the money, that now he doesn't have a reason to call his brother or his mother or his father, and he's going to find another reason to do so, and it's not going to be about the money. It's going to be about the connection, and they're going to come to grips with it.
It's wonderful.
I just turned this kid around, didn't I? It's all in my mind, but I feel really good.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story. I've heard enough stories out there. I've heard enough stories from people that that's very possible. What you're describing, it's happened before many times.
Yeah, well, thank you, Ed.
Of course.
This has been wonderful.
It has.
I knew we'd have a good time, and you have such a message to bring. Any final parting shots? Any thoughts that you'd like to put out there?
Thank you to you. Thank you to all your viewers for the opportunity to express these sentiments and to be here this afternoon. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being here. I think you're performing a wonderful service for all of us.
Thanks, John.
And thank you for watching. We will have more episodes of Ask John. I'm not sure I can top this one, but please tune in. And until next time, take care.